Since 1976, Rockford's Historical Museum has held many artifacts and a lot more memories of how Rockford came to be.
Okay, I'm Pat Fry. My title is Director of Research and Archives.
One thing we at BTR wanted to know is why it is important to have a museum in Rockford.
I think it's important to know where Rockford came from, where your family came from if you grew up here. If you don't know where you came from, you've kind of lost a great part of yourself, I think. And this tells you what things were like. We never had phones. I think it's important just to know the background.
My name is Al Pratt, and I'm the managing director of the museum, sort of oversee the operation of the facility.
Along with the importance of the museum, we were interested in why the museum had moved from its previous location.
Well, a couple of reasons. One is a building became available in town, so we wanted it. That was this building, of course. And the other was the building we were in was totally inadequate for what we were doing. It started functioning as a museum in 1976, but it was an old building that had been built in 1903. When this opportunity became available, we fought hard to get this building, that's for sure.
If you'd ever like to learn about the history of Rockford, the Historical Museum is a great place to do so.
Everything we have here has been donated. We do it all free, and we sort of extend that same philosophy to the stuff that we bring in. So.
Hi, I'm Julien and McNeela with Beyond the Rock School News. Today we went down to Rockford's Historical Museum to find out more about Rockford's history.
My name is Al Pratt, and I'm the managing director of the museum, responsible pretty much for the operation of what goes on around here. So. Rockford was founded back in the early 1840s by Smith Lapham, who's the guy in the picture up here above my shoulder, and whose name the town took initially. It was called Laphamville, and it changed to the name of Rockford in the 1860s when the Grand Rapids and Indiana Railroad wanted to start a train line through here, and they said, Laphamville's too long a name. We don't want a station with that long a name. You guys need a new name for your town, and it can't be more than 8 letters. The town Smith Lapham started the town as a sawmill. And it started to provide jobs, of course, and the logs that were coming down from northern Michigan, and from here went out to Lake Michigan and really all over the Midwest. A lot of them went to Chicago. But when it first got started, it was a real gradual increase because as the logging took off, some of the boards that were made were used to build homes, and it attracted more people. So to give you a good head count, it varied so much over a relatively short period of time.
Today, Rockford's population is near 6,000. For more information, visit the Historical Museum in downtown Rockford.
Hi, I'm Dannie with Beyond the Rock School News. Today we're here at the Rockford Museum to get a further look into Rockford's history.
In 1976, during their bicentennial, Rockford established their museum to share their story with the community. We sat down with Terry Conkla, president of the Rockford Historical Society, to find out more about the museum.
One of the things that a museum does for your community, it does draw people into your town, which is good because it draws visitors in, and we're getting more and more of that all the time. It also is a focus point for preserving history and also being able to present it so that people can see it.
This museum appeals to everyone, history lovers of all ages, including the youth of Rockford.
Well, we have a forest area, an open space where we can tell stories. We have films, we have little games that they can play, different things to spike their interest.
The museum displays a wide variety of memorabilia from different time periods and areas of interest.
It's not just the city of Rockford. We have stuff from the townships around. A lot of the townships have their own museums too, but we do have some things here. But what you'll see in here is a history going back probably to middle 1800s when the town was founded. And then they'll see all kinds of different areas.
Make sure to go check out our Rockford Museum to go learn a little bit more about our hometown.
At the Historical Museum, there are many great pieces to see, but we found the most interesting pieces to be the historians who run it.
Okay, my name's Pat Fry.
I'm Terry Conkle.
My name is Al Pratt, and I'm the managing director of the museum.
I'm the president of the Rockford Area Historical Society.
And I work as the archivist and research director here.
I've been in Rockford since 1960. I taught at Rockford High School for 30 years and coached for 41.
I grew up all 13 years on school on Main Street, where administration is now.
I'm really the new kid on the block. I've been here less than 40 years. It's amazing. So.
Whether born here or traveled to Rockford, they were able to tell us about the little small town they once knew.
In the first year I was here, I had all of the seniors in Rockford High School.
We roamed the whole town. We played down by the river, beyond the railroad tracks.
The favorite part about Rockford is, and this is going to sound corny, but it's the young people in town.
And with that, they found a passion for their involvement in the Historical Museum.
I love doing research, so when somebody calls up and say, I'm trying to find something about my family back in the 1840s or something, it's kind of fun to just go checking and trying to find what you could do.
There isn't probably a day that goes by that we aren't here for a little while.
I've met so many people that I didn't know before, literally hundreds of them.
To my favorite part, it's the athletic area.
I kind of get a kick out of the women's hats. There's a lot to see, and one trip doesn't do it.
So it's a very special place, and I'm proud to be involved with it.
The Rockford Area Historical Museum has items that date back over 100 years. We were sent by Beyond the Rock to talk to some of the employees about this important site in our town.
This museum here has only been here now 4 years, and we've had a lot to do with that. I've been president of the society for about 15 years, so had a lot to do with our museum down by the dam too. There's a lot of things that draw people, and a lot of times it comes with their interests. The other room on the other side is kind of, if you go to the right, you go around, you get a little history of the town. This room has different areas like school and Wolverine and military and businesses and so on. But there are other people too that come in not only to see the museum, but to do work on their families, because they have a lot of research material, genealogical material that they can use too.
We talked to Al Pratt about the goal of the Rockford Museum.
As we all have a real affinity and a deep love for this city. It has evolved in such a way that it makes us all pretty proud. And we also have a lot of members of the Historical Society and who volunteers here at the museum whose family goes back generations.
The people of Rockford donate everything, just about. So like we have an old-time person who lived here forever, and the family's cleaning out their house, they will give us a lot of it.
To end with, we asked the employees about the pride of Rockford and the future of the museum.
We've progressed. I think we're a very attractive town, and I've heard people come in and say how pretty it is.
We have a real love for what goes on here, and we find that even newer residents, after they're here for a little while, share that same feeling. So being able to preserve that, knowing that people in the future are going to appreciate it as well, makes whatever we do here worthwhile.
What was once mounted on a store downtown and posted out by the city limit was a sign naming Rockford the biggest little town, and our Rockford Historical Museum has continued to preserve that title.
It might be small, but it's big in heart. I think the community tends to bind together and caring about what's going on. I know when we tried to get this building, we had to raise over $300,000 to renovate and put a museum in here. And most people didn't feel that we could do it.
But we did. Enough members of our community knew that this was Rockford, not just another little town.
Well, we don't want people to forget their heritage. We've tried to get a variety of things that people could relate to, like the mail buggy or the safe that was at we call it the Hessler building. They're all things that bring back memories, and memories are great.
These memories have created our tight-knit community and have strengthened the ties between each generation.
The people all have the same interests, and we meet so many of the people, as I say, that go back multiple generations here. A core of people who are willing to work hard to make whatever's necessary happen, and that's very rewarding.
We were told 4 years ago when we started to renovate this building and get it ready for a new museum, that once we had a new museum, we would get lots of people coming the woodwork with things that they would donate, because now we had a place, a nice place. It allows you to not only preserve it, but show it so people can come in and see it in an organized manner. Rockford's just not a good town now. It's always been a good town.
And Rockford is not just a town, it's a family, and our historical museum has shown how a community can last through generations in this biggest little town. With Beyond the Rock, I'm Eileen Gould.
Here in Rockford, we are very fortunate to have a local area museum to remember our town's humble roots. The museum houses many treasured artifacts.
Everything has been donated or given as on loan, and we have paperwork that specifies whether something is a gift or it's possibly a loan and they want it back. But everything has come from area residents or area businesses and been given to us, and for that we're very grateful and always on the lookout for more. Now we have much more space, so we've had, as you'll see if you look around, some pretty elaborate exhibits that we've had built for this museum and so forth. And it was a major change.
The bomber quilt, as it became known, was featured in a 1980s book titled All Flags Flying, American Patriotic Quilts as Expressions of Liberty. The quilt was later donated to the museum by Mrs. Price's daughter, Mrs. Faye Carlson. It is one of our most treasured artifacts.
Rockford is very fortunate to have so many great memories held in our area museum. This is Charlotte O'Keefe with Beyond the Rock School News.
The city of Rockford is a place we all call home, but most of us do not know the elaborate history of this place. We went down to the Rockford Area Historical Museum to find out more about this city we all hold so close to our hearts.
Well, if you think of people coming into town in 1843, they either worked at the mills, because that's all that was here, or they might have been in the grocery store, but they were mostly farmers. And farming, it was what now was where we're on top of the hill up here. Farms came right down into here. And along Main Street, there were even houses. It was always Main Street and Cortland this way and Main Street. We didn't have a bridge at the time, so they waded across the river or on a ford and that type thing. But it basically is laid out. It's just expanded.
Laphamville was founded in the 1840s, but was renamed to Rockford in the 1860s. Al Pratt elaborated on the history of the name.
Right. It was originally called Laphamville after the guy's name was Smith Lapham, and the reason the name changed was that in the 1860s, the Grand Rapids and Indiana Railroad wanted to run a railroad line through here, and they said that they did not want their station to have a name as long as Laphamville. It was too long. So they went to the city fathers and said, we need you to change the name of your town to something that has no more than 8 letters. So through some negotiation and some chatter, and I'm not sure exactly what form that took, the name Rockford was decided on. So that's how it came to be.
Now that you have learned more about Rockford's history, make sure to stop into the Rockford Area Historical Museum in downtown Rockford to learn a little bit more.
For those of us who live in Rockford, Wolverine Worldwide definitely rings a bell. Established in 1883, Wolverine has played a large part in making Rockford the community it is today. We asked questions to a few staff members at the Rockford Historical Museum about their knowledge of the company. First, we asked them how Wolverine has affected Rockford's economy thus far.
During the Depression, Wolverine kept their workers going.
Tremendously, because it was a small agricultural community until they moved in, and it became in effect almost like a factory town because practically everybody had some member of their family working there.
There's no doubt that Wolverine has grown tremendously from when it was first established. We asked more specifically what ways the company has evolved since then.
Well, we're no longer a Wolverine town because all their manufacturing moved out. We had their corporate headquarters, but and there's like 400 and some people working up there.
When they first came here, all of the executives and everything lived right in town. So it was very much a community company. Now it's it's a multinational global company.
The Hush Puppy has played a big role in representing this company. We asked why they think Wolverine used this adorable dog as their mascot.
It was Jim Muir, one of the executives, was traveling in the South, and he knew this new line of casual shoes was being developed. And he heard the term hush puppy.
When they started out, that was it was like nationwide pretty fast, and it kind of caught on, the name caught on. It was very clever.
As you can see, Wolverine has played a large role in making Rockford the community it is today, and we hope that you will take the time to come to the Rockford Historical Museum to see their fascinating exhibit about the company.
In 1856, this city was first founded with the name of Laphamville by William Thornton, but was changed to Rockford in 1865 because Laphamville took too long for a train conductor to say. We had the opportunity to visit the Rockford Historical Museum and ask Al Pratt and Pat Fry what Rockford used to be like.
Substantially different than it is now in many ways, but in many ways much the same. Squire Street was relatively new. We have a good arrangement or assortment of stores and so forth that are a good destination shopping. At that time, most of the shops were artisans and hobbyists, and they kind of opened their stores when they felt like it. And it was, I remember we would have bus tours would come into town and be disappointed to find the stores all closed.
Not too different. I mean, the stores were different because we had grocery stores, we had 2 drug stores, the bank was downtown, you know, that type of thing. Hardware was downtown. But we used to stop when we got out of school and go to the drugstores and have something.
Both also said that despite the year difference, the emphasis on academics and athletics has always been strong.
I found it interesting that from 1923 to 1954, 31 years, the only school that existed in town is the building that's now used as the administration building.
And the school is small enough that everybody worked together. So you could have all classes on one committee, that type of thing. So you knew everybody.
Well, we used to go to a lot of football games. Football was very, very strong back then as it is now.
We had good ones. Of course, it was nothing like now, but we always had good teams.
If you want to learn more about your city's history, the Rockford Historical Museum has a lot to offer.